Hi, welcome back to, let's see. Hi, welcome back to the KR Daily Transmission. My name is Kaia. I'm the author of the Sophia Code, and we're doing a jewelry mastermind this week. So I was running a little bit behind getting ready this morning, and hi. Thanks for saying hello in the chat. Thanks for your patience. As I shared last week, this week, I will be on an irregular schedule for our KR daily transmissions. My goal is to get them in a little bit way earlier, actually, in the day, because hi, yay, happy Monday, and hope you all came through that equinox portal in a really good way. So be sure to hit that bell to receive notifications when we go live on YouTube. And I also just got back from the dentist. So like my smile is a little funny because it's still frozen from Novocaine. So, but I was like, well, whatever, this is real life. So I wanted to talk about some of these questions that were coming in on the YouTube comments. And there's so much emotion around this subject of death and losing our loved ones and what happens to our loved ones when they cross over to the other side, especially when someone has left your life, this world, in a traumatic experience. And so before I even go into answering questions, I just want to share how meaningful it is to me that you're trusting this journey with me to explore deeper emotions about this subject matter, to take the time to explore life with loved ones on the other side, to be willing to have, old feelings surface about, the passing of your loved ones, including new feelings that are arising that there could be hope for a new relationship with your loved ones on the other side. And from my heart to yours, I just want to say I'm so deeply touched by how brave everyone's been in this conversation. And I woke up this morning feeling this really powerful energy, like we are heading into a new chapter of life together as a community. I'm getting really excited about 2023 and what's coming that I haven't announced yet, but you're gonna love it. This online journey that I'm going to be offering in 2023. And so as we head towards love from the other side, this particular event in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is happening live on October 15th in person. Unfortunately, we do not have the capacity of this venue to do a live stream. So it'll be an in-person event only. And I really hope that you can join us. So this particular journey is the Earth Dragon. It's because we're also being with the horses on Sunday with our certified Sophia Circle leaders. So this final event of the 2022 Dragon Ride rounds out the 5 elements that we worked with this year of stepping into our empowerment, stepping into our leadership, stepping into being seen as light workers in a new way. And there is so much dialogue around death on the planet right now because of what's happened over the past 2 years, which, with what I personally call the pandemic, because I genuinely believe that there was a massive agenda for what got rolled out over the past 2 years. And I believe a lot of lives were lost in that journey. unnecessarily so. And so, this conversation around many souls passing unexpectedly, which of course the news has attempted to censor in every direction. But if you dig deep enough, you'll find out what's really going on worldwide. And I feel as though this topic is, it's going to become so important over the next few years that we're able to talk about death as a momentary transition in the eternal life of the soul, because this is going to bring people an extraordinary amount of peace and reconciliation, both with their own hearts, but also with their loved ones on the other side who continue to live very rich and dynamic experiences, including the desire to connect with their loved ones back on earth. Hi, it's so good to see everyone popping on. I'm doing my best to do this live after going to the dentist today. So my numbing is still thawing out on the right side of my mouth. So thanks for your patience as I kind of bumble my way through this, but it just feels really important to keep this conversation going. How is this landing for you? How does it feel to know that we're willing as a platform to broach this conversation with you? How does it feel to know that your sovereign divine light is invincible and continues to live an incredible journey beyond this one incarnation? Does it bring comfort to you? Do you have questions around it? Is it unsettling? Is it revelatory? Is it enlightening? I'm so curious to know where this conversation has been landing for you. Veronica Lopez, who's one of our amazing certified Sophia Circle leaders. Maybe some of you met her recently in our Sedona event. Hi, Veronica. She's sharing, I'm so grateful that you're talking about this topic. It's given me so much peace around this very challenging topic. I'm so grateful to hear that, Veronica. Amy is saying, yes, thank you. I accept, I receive. Katie is sharing. Good morning, Katie. She's in this year's Sophia Circle Leadership Certification Program. Hi, Katie. Katie is sharing, as well as a deep expansion of truth that lights up every cell of my body and resonates with a deeper truth that lands powerfully. I'm so grateful to hear that, Katie. Johans is sharing, this feels authentic, rich, and divine. Serenia is sharing, heavy but comforting. It's important to touch on these things. Thank you. Yeah, that's real. I'm so grateful for what you're writing in. Vienna is sharing, I love these confirming, enlightening conversations always. All right, great. So we're headed in the right direction. That feels really, really good. The question that I would like to broach today is, when someone is lost, when someone's life is prematurely ended and crosses over to the other side, how can we be assured that they're okay? I think that kind of sums up a lot of the questions that have been coming in. And what I want to share is that everyone has guardian angels. Everyone has spiritual guides, even the people who have honestly done some pretty horrific stuff on this in this world. Like, there's always guardian angels and guides that are assigned to those souls to continue the journey of their life lessons across form. And so if you have a loved one, such as a son or daughter, that has crossed over due to an addiction, a car accident, abuse, an abusive relationship, I want to assure you with all of my heart that the angels are there to receive the soul of your loved one immediately. And they are always doing their best to guide your loved one to the places and spaces in the spiritual world in the higher realms where they can receive love, support, and healing for their soul. Further, it's important to understand that your loved one on the other side, when they immediately cross over, they continue to have free will. A soul continues to have free will always, whether they're in form or in the higher realms. And so they may need to go to what I call an angel hospital. They may need to go with their guides immediately to a location, such as what I shared last week, the places that a lot of the children are immediately sent to, almost like an angelic emergency room. Or there's places that are not as intense as that, like an ER situation, but where they'll go to cities of light where there's councils that can support the integration of leaving the earth plane in a very traumatic way. So, if we're dealing with extreme physical trauma, usually that's when they're taken to that angelic kind of emergency room hospital. But then there's other places as well for a softer landing for various kinds of departure that feel traumatic to the soul and to the loved ones back on earth. So if you feel as though your loved one isn't reaching out to you right away after they've departed, it doesn't mean that they don't love you. It's not an indication of that at all. It just means that they're receiving the help and the support that they deserve on the other side in the higher realms, and that when they're ready to make communication with you again, they will. And your prayers support the transition of that soul to know that you understand that they are exactly where they need to be, and that they are going to be supported exactly as their relationship with God and their free will is guiding them to receive that support. And so when you miss your loved ones and you're not feeling like intense physical contact from the other side at first, or even for a while, you can always lean into your relationship with the ascended masters and your guardian angels to check on your loved ones, to send, an amplification of your prayers and your messages to your loved ones on the other side, who may be very focused on reviewing life integration lessons. I see this particularly for people who have crossed over that, struggled with alcoholism or drug addiction or extreme shame around dying from like an eating disorder or some form of self-sabotage against the body, suicide. These are very shame-inducing experiences for most souls, not all, but many. And so the soul kind of, in a sense, tucks its tail and wants to go lick its wounds with those souls in the higher realms that understand the depth of soul healing that is required when a transition like that happens. And because not all souls are equipped to understand how, the process a departed soul has to go through to accept and integrate that's how that incarnation ended. It might have been multiple incarnations that ended in the same way. And so there are specialists, like specialist angels, just like, there's specialist doctors, specialist clinics and hospitals and mental health centers and detox centers on Earth. There's very similar resources in the higher realm to support the soul's integration. And so, if you had a very challenging relationship with a husband or a grandfather or a child that, you miss desperately, but you can't seem to reach them, two things could be going on. Number one, you might feel guilty about connecting with them and feeling the unresolved energy between yourself and that soul. And that's perfectly natural and normal to feel guilt, confusion, shame, fear around death. And they might be feeling that too. I think people have this idea, it's very common in our society, that somehow life is different after you leave this world. And it's really not. The soul continues to have its personality. The soul continues to have feelings. The soul continues to have, you know, a process around what to do with its journey of growth and evolution. And that really evolution happens quite literally one step at a time, both here and in the spirit world. So, you know, what's interesting about being incarnated souls and being on this journey with loved ones is it often can feel like, wow, we're on this endless healing journey, to reconcile, to reconnect, to remember, to acknowledge, to honor, what has happened, you know, the prayers of what we want to happen. There's such a complex and rich dialogue that we're having lifetime to lifetime. And, you know, one of the things that has been coming up for me in particular, as I navigate certain souls that I know I'm meant to meet on a future timeline, that timeline is coming closer and closer. The closer I come to meeting those souls that I have lost in other lifetimes in traumatic ways, the more I understand just how much compassion is involved, both for when we're establishing relationships with loved ones that have departed this world and already, and loved ones that we're negotiating coming back into connection with from other lifetimes of a traumatic departure. One of a really great example that I'd like to share about this is when I took a small group of our certified Sophia Circle leaders to Bimini in the Caribbean. We went to swim with the wild dolphins. And when we were there, one of the days, we went to swim along the only known artifact remaining of Atlantis. And we were swimming along what's called the Wall of Atlantis. I wasn't that keen on going, but it was part of the tour that we had signed up for, the experience. And when we got there, I really felt why I wasn't that excited about it. It was in essence like visiting a Hiroshima site, because you know, the cataclysmic atomic explosion that happened in Atlantis literally ripped apart the actual fabric of the planet. And so you could think about it like Hiroshima times 1,000 times over. That's how big the atomic explosion that happened in Atlantis. So when people fantasize about Atlantis being like this ascended civilization, it was until it wasn't, until the ego and the pride from unchecked, I guess, expansion of intellect without the spiritual development to match the intellectual expansion around technology that was being experienced in Atlantis. What's interesting is that, you know, that explosion literally rocked the entire planet. Like it created, when we were swimming over the Wall of Atlantis, we were swimming, I felt as though I was swimming over a massive scar, like almost like a gaping wound still for the earth. There was billions of souls that were still hanging out in a dimensional reality above the wall, you know, that were still so in shock from the explosion that happened that they hadn't really left and gone back to the light. And so, of course, we did a lot of light work around that area to help the souls release that were ready to release and go back into the source, Sophia's light. But what was interesting for me about it was like half of the people in our group had experienced dying in that cataclysm. And the other half of that people in our group on that trip had actually escaped before the explosion. And I was one of them. I was part of a group of people that managed to leave right in time before the explosion happened. So I actually have memories of standing somewhere between Africa and Europe on a continent and watching the explosion happen from the other side of the world. That's how big the explosion was. It completely rearranged the continents of the planet. And I remember watching this explosion with all the people that had listened and had come with me to escape before this cataclysm occurred, and watching like our home, completely become completely decimated, and all of the loved ones that had chosen to stay behind. And what was interesting for me about that was, like, again, in the group, when in Bimini, half of the people had stayed that were in the group for various reasons, and the other half had left. And so whether you left and managed to escape that kind of a death, or whether you stayed, it doesn't matter, because everyone is experiencing the trauma of that collective death experience. And so, okay, the whole reason why I'm sharing this is because right now I'm in the process of walking through multiple memories of multiple lifetimes where specific souls that I was very close to, especially in Atlantis, were lost in this way. And walking through the quantum healing journey of what needs to be unpacked, cleared, and healed before these souls come into my future reality. And so this conversation about loved ones on the other side can also include souls that you've lost in other lifetimes that you are deeply seeking to connect with in this lifetime. And so the more you courageously choose to examine how multidimensional you are, how your heart has the ability to have conversations with loved ones in other dimensional realities that are connected to your heart, like, don't ignore that longing, the longing for these dialogues, the longing to create that rainbow bridge from your heart to the soul of the loved ones that you've either lost in other lifetimes or in this lifetime. It's important. It's the great reunion that we're all calling in across space and time. As the Sophia Dragon Tribe shares in chapter 4 or 5 of the Sophia Code, this is a 0-point calibration lifetime where we are examining that we have many memories from all of our lifetimes and from all of our death experiences. And that the more we embody our higher self, the more we tune into the light of our higher self, the more consciousness that we have to scan those timelines and call home our loved ones to our hearts, and to prepare the way for those loved ones to engage with us, whether it was from, whether it's them co-creating with us from the higher realms, or them returning to us in this lifetime and future incarnations. This is important. Like, what you feel is important, what you intuitively feel is important. And so if you are getting an intuitive hit about a loved one on the other side, or a loved one that wants to come in where there needs to be healing around a past life transition that was very impactful, pay attention to that in your meditation, in your prayer, in your prayers, and your journaling. Notice where your heart is pointing you to, and be brave enough to bring the love and the compassion and the generosity of your spirit to that conversation. The good news is that God is love. Whatever you call God, we call God Sophia in the Sophia Code. We call God the source. We call God Divine Mother, Divine Father. Whatever you call that energy, it is unconditional divine love. It is omniscient awareness that knows exactly where your loved ones are in any given moment, exactly how you can be guided to pray for your loved ones at any given moment, exactly what those next steps are to connect with your loved ones on the other side, or to call forth your loved ones into this lifetime that you've walked the earth with before, that you need now in your lifetime. You can be, as we share in Stargate One curriculum, you can build altars that help physically anchor certain energies and connect the dots in your consciousness one step at a time. And I want to thank you for taking this opportunity to share a little bit more about this conversation that we're going to be having at our live event, Love from the Other Side, in Scottsdale, Arizona on October 15th. I hope you can be there with us. And it's also one of the reasons why I've been having so many conversations online here with you about it, because I know there's many of you overseas that cannot be with us in person. And so my heart goes out to you because of the continued extraordinary circumstances worldwide that are completely unnecessary. And so this is why I share so much on YouTube, and it's why I've continued to share so much on YouTube for over 2 years. It's because I love you all so much, and I wish we could be together all of the time. And I know that those times are coming on a future timeline. And as I shared in our recent prayer collective call, we are actively searching for the land that can create our divine feminine temple for those years ahead on that future timeline where we'll all be able to gather together. And if you would like to make a donation to the Sophia Code Foundation, you can always do that on my website at kaia.com. I also wanted to share one last piece in honor of this jewelry mastermind that I'm working on with Nia this week. I continue to wear these ankhs. These are brand new ankhs that I designed. They have the white cobra scales, and they have jewels. They actually have crystals in them. And this one's actually a diamond. And so we've created them both in gold, vermeil, and silver. I believe we have diamond, ruby, sapphire, and amethyst, all power stones for ascension and anchoring the light of your higher self in your body. And I was just thinking about this today. I was like, I experienced so much trauma around death in my early life. And of course, and also experiencing so many near-death experiences that when I became old, when I became an adult and could afford to buy jewelry for myself, buy crystals for myself, this is how I worked with anchoring the light on my body and having talismans of support in very dark times where I was really struggling to find my touchstones, my amulets that help me navigate the times that I was living in, on top of all the trauma that I've been healing. And then, of course, all of my desires to create a new paradigm amidst everything I had survived. The ankh and all of the symbols that are designed into my jewelry collection, these are symbols I've relied on throughout the years to support my body and my emotions and my thoughts to stay in alignment with my higher self. The ankh in particular, I've been wearing over this past week. First, because wow, it's so exciting to have some new pieces in our collection that are such stunners. I've been wanting to put precious stones in our jewelry for a really long time, so this is super exciting for me. The white cobra in Egypt represented the energies of resurrection and initiation beyond the illusion of death. But the ankh itself, to me, represents the sacredness of our eternal life, that God, whatever you call God, Sophia, Source, created our souls as eternal. And so when we're navigating such an intense topic like death, it's important to understand that what the ankh represents to us is that ultimately there is no death. Death has no power over us, and we continue to rise again and again, both in the higher realms and in future incarnations that are a continuation of our soul's learning journey, a continuation of our soul's evolution. And so the ankh for me dispels an enormous amount of fear and uncertainty around death, and actually empowers this conversation to be filled with so much lightness and sovereignty and empowerment. And this is why I've been wearing these beautiful ankhs over the past week. If you'd like to check them out, they're available at my website, kaia.com, on the jewelry page. And yeah, thanks so much for letting me share a little bit about what's happening for me this week. Remember, click that bell notification to know when I'm going live this week, because it's going to be at irregular times. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your comments, both in the chat and your video replay comments, because they really help spread the word about the Sophia Code. When you like the video, when you comment on the video, when you share the video, you are becoming a part of this international ministry to reach the hearts and minds of lightworkers across the world. And so from my love to yours, thank you for your support of the Sophia Code. Thank you for your loving presence here today. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Namaste.